6 o'clock.
Have an agenda.
And we'll go ahead and start with, I've called meeting order. We have a quorum of 4 board here, I believe. We have Dustin Lemesto, Danny, and Jake, and Roy.
You all must have got a full crew. Who would miss it?
Yeah. I'm gonna be missing this.
Anyway, let's go ahead and do our pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
The Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And our invitation real quickly. Father, we ask that you lead and guide us. We ask that you give us the clarity of thought to make right decisions for the people we serve. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And I believe everyone here is on the agenda, except for Mr. Rips, and he's always welcome. Okay, first thing we need to do is consider item A, which is considering consideration and action on the resolution of the Corporation Authority authorizing the execution of a funding agreement with the City of Floresville concerning payment responsibilities for the cost of the financing, operating, and maintaining the Laura G. DeLeon Event Center. Okay, Andy, you want to start that out?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to bring this item to the board as we had talked about as we go through our audit with the city. We've got a new auditing firm and they want documentation of how we partner with the not just the 4A but the 4B, so we'll be coming to you at a later time. With new auditing firms, sometimes a new set of eyes requires us to revisit things. So this is pretty much an attempt to update an existing document that had been in place for some time. So I believe that Mr. Caldwell is out. We submitted that for his review and consideration. He had some items that he wanted to revisit, and so I don't know, was he going to be on the phone or?
He can be. I can try to get him on the phone.
If it's something that we can look at, because we want legal to ensure that those documents are correct. We've got our bond counsel, who are attorneys that are reviewing that. And it's just an attempt, like I said, there were 2 things on the city's audit that the new auditing firm wanted us to address. One was the agreements that we had with the boards, and then 2 was a USDA grant that we had pending. So once we get those, we should get a clean audit and move the city forward.
I think the item, I haven't seen the document. Do you have a copy of it?
Andy, but what's the ultimate purpose? What are we gonna do? What's the question in the auditor?
The auditor just wants to know whose responsibility is, what that portion of the event center, the land, the operations, all together, who's responsible for what portion of it. So this document was supposed to address that issue. Historical data, Bill, myself, and yourself were with the city or the 4A board when we built this building. Prior to me, I believe you were mayor or on council at the time when the land was purchased. So we're going as far back as trying to get all of that squared away in a document that the auditor will say this is sufficient, that we've got new paperwork to illustrate that, and we can move forward. So nothing else, nothing to say, like I told the council, this is nothing new. You know, we've had this debt obligation between the 4A, the 4B, and the city for some time, so we need some new documentation to depict that.
Okay, so with this resolution, how does it fix the auditor? What is it gonna show? What's gonna be different?
It's gonna state that the,
That the 4A will pay the land and the operating, and the city will be paying for the building.
the actual debt service of that. And I understand that that's something that we have to clarify, or we have to get with Tom in regards to that, because we've always known that the sales tax money was supposed to pay for the debt,
Right.
the purchase of the land and the building.
Right.
But for some time now, that hasn't been occurring. You know what I mean? So we've got to just try to break that up in a way that the auditor can understand.
Okay.
Because ultimately, any bond taken by any of the boards, at the end of the day, is the city's responsibility. So,
Okay, the sales tax, we're currently collecting probably 450 to 500 in that area.
About more.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's enough to pay the land and the operating of the building, or it'd be enough just to pay the bonds and not operate?
Okay, we
Yes.
have always had the understanding, and it was in writing several times, that the board's responsibility was to manage, to have two budgets. One was for the bonds, which covered the land and the building, and an M&O budget, which went through the city. And I think you were here when we started that.
that's correct.
And it covered the operation of the building. As far as and the last agreement we wrote, and I signed, was one that said we were responsible for the building and the land. It also said that the city, we made an agreement with the city, that after the building and the land were paid for, then we would continue to collect the tax until it paid the city back for the operating expense that it had incurred.
Okay.
And we can't, as far as I can tell, we should never own land with another person's building on it. Or you shouldn't have a building on land that someone else owns.
And that's correct.
And so that would be my question about that, and I want that resolved before we move into that.
Sure.
And we did that agreement, is when Henrietta first came on board. Annie, you may have still been mayor back then.
No, I just left when Henrietta came on.
But,
So she must have come in like in 2013.
Yeah, we went through this with the bond people then, we went through it.
No.
And that was one of the things that we discussed, was we had to maintain, the board is responsible for the entire bond. And we have had the money to pay that. We have not had the money always to maintain the building, but we've always had money to pay the bond. And I don't think that system should be broken up.
No, we agree, we agree.
The
Well,
bond's always been paid though 60% 4A, 40% the city for the building, as far as I can look back. I don't know if y'all are under that same understanding.
No, we understood that there was enough sales tax money. And we've been told over and over that there was enough sales tax money to pay for the bond. And then it even gone over, and at one point, we were in excess. See, when we refinanced it, they refinanced it a couple of years ago, so that we would pay it off earlier. And this was at the bond company's suggestion, that if we refinanced it at a lower rate, but it would increase our monthly payment or our yearly payment for a couple of years. And then we would pay it off early, saving us, I think, $400,000 and some odd thousand.
okay.
Because the building payment is $507,000. And then the land is $75,000 to $80,000 a year. So
Last
that's
time we
beyond
talked
the.
about that, and we
That's
were
beyond.
going over the numbers. The statement that we got through, it showed that we even have $90,000 extra in reserve in order to guarantee the payment as the state required that the sales tax is kind of a mechanism to guarantee the payment of the bond to the sales tax.
Chaz, I think you gave us a
And it was, I think it
payment
was
structure,
right about
and I think the payment was like in the
$92,000.
250s, 230s, something like that, between 230 and 250, there was a,
So I'm thinking it's showing the 60/40.
Yeah, it is, it's 60/40. So I remember Ms. Turner saying that too, we pay 60 and the city pays the 40. And it was about 255, something like that. It was 80,000, 77,000 for the land, and the building was a little more than that. And it was, since I've been here, I remember being a 60/40. 60 we pay and they pay, the city pays 40% of it.
Okay.
So that's pretty much where we're at, is trying to figure those mechanics that were put into place, so.
But I think what we were paying was about $255,000, what we were paying. And then I guess the rest were going to.
It's gone up a little, like now it would be about 300,000, like the.
And it had, I think I still have that
60% of
breakdown.
that, 537.
360-something thousand.
Total, probably total.
Yes,
And
also-
our quarter cent should pay that.
Right,
yeah, we're collecting like you said, like 450.
right.
But it's also on the 4B, where the payment comes in, that we pay 40% to our B, to our A. And I have seen those paid. On the balance of money comes up, and we contribute 40%. There was an argument at one time that the statement was made by someone that he see people from 4A riding around with 4B. He said, wait a minute, we have an interest in there, because we pay 40% of this. We pay into the system. So it's not that he's riding around with nobody from 4A just for fun. We have something to say because we're paying part of the bill.
Sure.
From the 4B part.
Is that, go ahead, sir.
But is that for the sports complex or?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that would be separate, that's a
That's
separate.
That's
a separate item.
So it's not part of 4A?
Mm-mm.
We still own that land, we lease it, but we still own it.
So the payment goes into part of the 4A?
Right,
that you own?
that payment should go into the 4A
It's through the
for the
city.
lease.
It's paid by.
Well, those things are
the
what we're
city.
trying to correct
And
in
then
regards to
reimburse.
that. Yeah, yeah, so with this document, that's what we're trying to hit, but until we
Right.
get all of these mechanics
I
placed in
understand,
together.
but it so happened that I happen to be on both boards, so I seen both.
Sure, sure.
Yes.
And at one time I said, he says,
I
so,
think I have the breakdown of all this.
where do the breakdown, where is it paid?
Because that one is 50, I think it's 56% and 44%. The city pays and 4B on that.
And that's a short-term loan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it was less, it's like 1 point.
It was 1.1 million, I think, something like that.
So after speaking with Cindy before we got here and visiting, I believe she's been visiting with Mr. Caldwell this afternoon, we're gonna have to do some work on that
Yeah.
document.
He's gonna pull
I would like
documents that he
it
says he has.
thoroughly researched and get it right,
So you're
one
clear.
Sure.
one way or the other. And it doesn't really affect the ownership of the building, because I think everyone would agree, if you own the building, it better be on the land that you own too.
Yeah, we just need the documentation to depict that, and that's what we're trying to update.
And we need to make sure that we get it done right.
Sure.
And I'd like to see that pursued.
So,
Because their question is, how did the city back the loans, the bonds?
The building and the land.
But if the city doesn't own it, that's, how did the
This-
city get the bonds?
It wasn't the city that got the bond, it's the 4A corporation that got the bond.
No,
It's-
sir.
Everything is the
Every-
city
Mhm.
when it gets like that. The main entity, which is the city, is the
Right.
one that has the borrowing capacity. And that's what the new auditor sees. The city's responsible for everything. What agreements are made between the 4A and the 4B, that's a whole separate deal. So we'll have to do some more research, Chairman, in regards to that, but we will make sure that we get everything correct.
So
on
it's
that
not
document.
really that we're the the middle person in between until the bond is paid for, then it transfers to the city, similar to what happened with CPS and city water, and city public service. That the board remained there all the time between the bondholders and the city that eventually we transfer to them.
Pretty much, eventually that's what, you
So
know.
we can keep and borrow money and the city never won them, right? That's
So,
a city public service.
Sure.
Anyway, my thought is that we table this until we get more research done on
Yeah, we'll have to do that for sure, and we, if Mr. Caldwell has the last documentation that was done, that's what we need to
it.
look at from there.
It was done, I think, in 2008 or 9.
No, but you mentioned that there was a new agreement with Ms. Turner when Ms. Turner was here.
That was when, well, I don't know, it was done, I know when we presented it and when we talked about it, I think Quiroga was here and he came to talk to us, and he was telling us that we needed, the reason we were doing this was to save money and it was gonna temporarily raise our payment, but we're cutting the number of years, and that by doing that, we were gonna save $400,000 or something like that in the life of a bond. So, and that was why we did it, and there was quite a bit of argument over that.
Over that portion. It would have to be, because we refinanced, when I was here, we refinanced in 2010 to get the 5-year, $100,000 payment to get us up to that point where we could start collecting more sales tax like is happening now. So probably in 2015, there was a refinancing of that. Again, from 2015 to this point is what we need to get clarification on.
And I'm guessing at dates because I can't remember that.
Sure.
But
But again, for the record, this is nothing new, there's no new debt, there's no difference in us paying the bills. It's just a matter of this documentation that the new auditing firm needs to state, this is the agreement.
If we
Right.
did this, accounting standard.
It's more,
Exactly.
yes, it's more for accounting because the way it was done in the past, the budget was based off of revenues, presumed revenues of what we were gonna bring in. And we did not bring in those amounts. So then it's always been in the negative and the negative. So then the general fund has been covering those fees.
Right.
Right, so then
And we had
that.
said that when the bond was paid, then we would come back and pay the city back after the building with the revenue from the sales tax for the maintenance cost that they incurred during that time.
During that time frame. Okay.
Right.
Well, then we'll continue to visit with the attorney and bring you a document at a later date
Okay.
that depicts exactly.
And we'll be glad to have a special meeting to accomplish that when,
Okay.
So Cindy, what are we, the breakdown of the 450 that we collect? What's the?
That's covering, right now, would be cover your
Well,
operating.
Once we sign this or agree
What
to
we're
this-
saying, okay, so, because we're trying, for accounting wise, we're trying to get the city into a better financial position. Because right now, us covering that is putting the general fund in the red, in the negative.
Taken away from.
Correct, and we do not have the funds to do that. So what my proposal is that we use those for your operating and for your land. The city pay.
Use the
the-
sales tax.
Yes, use your sales tax, yes, for that. The city will use their debt service, which is part of our property tax that we receive to pay for the building for 100%, not the split of the 60/40.
And what's the payment on that?
That's the 507,000. So 60% is supposed to be 4A and 40% is the
So
city.
what is the city, I mean, what is the 4A taking on then? If y'all are taking on a debt of 500,000, what are we taking on?
Operating in the land.
see, I
To
don't know if
make
we
it
can use
balance.
bond money for operating. Because we've always been told, even back to the days when Killen was here, we were told that we had to keep the bond money completely separate for, you know, to pay the taxes. And the maintenance had to come out of another account, another budget. That's why we're going to the budget meeting every year, because that was supposed to be for that. And the building was supposed to be paid for by the bonds. So I need a clarification on that.
Yeah, and we'll get that for you, because that's our goal, is just to get the correct breakdown in a document form that they can have on file.
So Andy, the city is currently paying $500,000, covering the 4A, what, for $500,000?
According to the
Yes.
breakdown that was done in the last tax rate breakdown, yes.
So the resolution would be to continue a payment of $500,000?
For us to.
Doesn't that seem a little high?
But it can't be covered, right? I mean, because I feel we need to be realistic, because the city's in the position that it is due to our accounting, how we've been accounting for our debt. The city does not have money to run this building.
So.
We do not have the money.
So the allocation of the budget has been in a way that it drains money away from.
The general fund.
For the general fund, for the
Yes.
city.
And so now, in 2019, our
So
auditors
put
put
it
a
in
$1.2
negative
million.
number when should have been all this time.
Correct. They put a $1.2 million receivable on the general fund. This year, we're having to address it, saying, yes, 4A has borrowed $1.2 million for the past
Right, so.
6 years, or whatever, however many years that this audit
We're
program.
accounting standards come into a
Yes.
questionable issue.
Correct.
They can get it up, you know. So probably the city way ahead in the budget, they didn't even know about it.
We're trying
We will have
to,
surplus of money, but
we did, yeah, we just need to, I feel like be realistic on
Right,
how,
yeah, I understand.
because, like I said, the
Yeah,
city
so-
does not have,
The city, they want to be migrating this money over to this thing so that they won't have the issue that you have now, so.
so,
And we be able
For
to balance your
account-wise.
budget much sooner than the 3 years expected to do.
That's correct.
yes.
Because the refinancing, we should be about halfway through that.
I think it
We have
says
what, like
2032.
10 years?
Yeah, we
Mhm, 10
2032 is
years,
when we
11
paid
years.
off, and it's on that sheet, it should be on that sheet.
10 or
Yeah.
11 years we paid off, yeah.
Mhm. Yes. So then,
I
that's
think
when we'll
one's
have to
2030,
revisit.
and then one's 2032.
Mhm.
They're pretty close together, it's on that sheet right there.
Yeah, the building is 2030, so,
So that's
like 9 years.
almost
Yeah.
9
Mhm.
years.
9 years. Mhm.
I'm got no problem with that.
So,
Mr. Chairman, we'll do some more research on
Okay,
that before
very
we bring
good.
back that document to it.
Very good, thank you. And let us know, and we'll have a meeting, and
definitely.
when we get it all cleared away and our attorney gives us a go ahead.
I move that we table this item.
Okay, I have a motion to table this item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Tahada, second by, either one of you.
Sure.
Got it, or, all right, let me write this down so I have it. Motion.
We're done.
Yes.
You're excused.
So you give that to Jeff.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I see that? Is that from Victor?
Okay, do I have all in favor?
Aye.
Motion table? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Board, we have another item to take care of. And that is discussion of possible action related to the terms of an agreement with the Floresville Peanut Festival Association to provide vendor services. And there again, I thought they were gonna be here tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they, did they have a meeting tonight too? Or is it Wednesday?
They had one the 8th. But what we were gonna come back with was what our proposal was.
Yeah, I think that's all they need, is just the email coming back, what we're gonna offer percentage to them, so they can take it back to their board,
Right,
and then go from there. I think that's all they're needing.
Okay.
so that we agreed to.
I think, the offer was by Tom was 50-50, but he wanted the board to decide what percentage y'all wanted to give Peanut Festival. Do you want it 50-50, 60-40, or how y'all wanted to do that?
Well, I think he threw out the number 50-50.
I know that.
And that's
that-
after expenses are paid.
Yeah, right. Yeah. 'Cause-
50-50 including you doing all the work, or are they gonna pitch in and do some of the work also?
No, we are doing all the work this year. All they're gonna
50
do.
ain't right then.
I don't think so either.
I say 70-20.
So that would be part of the cost of doing
Yeah,
business,
70-20.
as at the cost, so you can put a markup of the service.
Yeah, because
For the event
the first year
center.
when they used our license, they did all the work with the nights, and they cut us a 10% of that after expenses.
So-
Now we're doing all the laboring, everything. I think they're just purchasing the beer from us, but we're doing everything.
Right, so.
That ain't right.
Yeah, but we
50-50.
have to pay for
But
the,
you
for the
would-
stand, and I don't know whether, how much they're gonna ask for it, but, I'm sure that they're not gonna ask less than $500 for that stand. And it's well built, I mean, I was talking to them and they said that, it costs almost that amount just to have that stand built, you know, it's got two windows, and plus it's lighted and all, and so on and so on, you know.
How much did they say?
500 a night or 500 the?
No, they're
No,
gonna
they're
purchase,
no.
we're gonna keep it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, then that's kind of an investment, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's from the nights, because the nights are no longer doing.
Oh,
the
so they're
beer.
not, oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
Yeah, the
okay,
nights are
okay.
gonna.
So they're just
Yes.
getting rid of it?
Yeah, they're getting rid of it. They had some other stuff, but they already got rid of it.
But going back to the 50-50 part, the cost of we doing the work, we carry a markup of a profit for the 40. So once we got that, they say, okay, this is a cost for all this, now whatever is left is the 50-50 that they keep, but you're also making a profit on the other end because you did all the work. You know, different than hiring a contractor they have to pay, and the contractor gonna do it, he don't wanna do it for cost, they're gonna have a markup. So by the time we get to the 50-50, you already have come out on 40 with a profit. And
So
now
we would have to get Tom to add that all in.
we're out all in plus a markup, you know, different than the markup on the beer.
No, after all the expenses are paid, just like the beer and so on, the ice and all that, whatever's left,
That's comes
go
back
with
here, right?
60-40, you know.
Yeah, and that's what we're here to see what the board decides, on the percentage, what we wanna give them. And then, they're gonna take it to their board and let them know.
Cause I tell you what, it's work, it's not.
Oh, yeah.
And you're gonna be the one chef doing all the work, pretty much.
Yeah, what we're gonna do is, I know you weren't here last meeting, but we're gonna bring in a staffing company to be able to hand out all the beer, TABC license bartenders, somebody over them, and we're gonna have our city staff take in the tickets and money. And that's what we're purchasing the cage. So we'll have a staffing company just being able to handle all the beer for us, so we don't have to, I mean, of course, we'll still be there overseeing.
So they're,
everything.
just overseeing?
Yeah, we're gonna be overseeing it. We won't have to go hire contractors to handle the beer, everything. We'll just bring in a staffing company that's already knows how to do everything.
Basically, we'll be out of it except for the license.
And how much is that gonna cost?
That's something we're working on right now, but that's something that Roy's talking about, that we put that in there.
You put that
We
in there,
put that
then
in
you're
the
gonna
cost.
have 20 or 30%
Yeah.
attached to that for your
Yeah,
profit.
and that's what I was gonna say too, make sure that's in the cost, that don't go, that's out of
Yeah,
your
so that's-
percentage, you know?
That's the
They're gonna
plan.
come out of the cost.
Yeah, that's gonna, so whatever we give to Peanut will be after all expenses.
All expenses.
Beer, ice, contract laborings, everybody that's in there. We're gonna, and then.
And
after that,
remaining
that's
remaining
what's-
beer comes here, of course, right?
That's gonna
So
be
that's
here
gonna be more
also.
profit for us.
Yeah, and then we can use it on our events like we did that one year. But after we pay all expenses, that's what they're asking, what y'all want as a percentage to give to Peanut after all expenses are paid for. That's what they did, that's what they used to do with the nights, and they did with us in that one year. They took out all expenses, and then say it was $30,000 profit, they would split it between the nights, and then they give us 10% of that 1 year.
But did you say 50-50 after the cost, or we do a 60-40? you come out to the same city, you put a markup on the older one, and you already guarantee the profit, and then, okay, not only I got a profit for the contracted bid, and now we split the other money. If I'm gonna sell a hamburger, I don't wanna sell it for $2.50, but that'd be that cost, I have to sell it for $5. That part of my part, he said, okay, after that, we split 50-50, but I already got my markup on the hamburger.
Let me ask you this, now the Beer Festival charges every merchant that comes and sets a booth, whether they sell tacos, hamburgers, or whatever. They charge every booth that is there.
Yeah, I believe it's 20%.
Okay.
It's a charge, and then they charge 20% on top of that.
And then,
Why don't we give them?
and then, when it comes to the cleaning and so on, it's only a little handful of us and so on. And I don't know whether we might use even our own people, and I'm talking about maybe city workers, to do some of the cleaning as well. I think they did last year or year before last. But, and that's not right. You know, if they want 50-50 or even 60-40, you know, I mean, it's a lot of cost, it's a lot of labor within this board, and they're just gonna get their
They're gonna
30
get
or
their
40.
cut and not get their hands dirty.
Exactly.
Yeah, but there's another
That's why I
part.
said 50-50 ain't right,
Do
that's.
they don't release the street from the city? Because when you have the Fiesta week, the city will charge the contractor coming to pour that for the use of the street.
Yeah, we don't. No.
It's free.
Yeah.
We have to change.
See, and when now, the Peanut Festival charges that vendor.
Well, they'll charge,
Yeah.
this is the reason you charge the vendor to put the post there, because they have to pay the city for using of the street.
No, no, not true.
This is the way we did in San Antonio. You don't use the street just for free, because you charge the vendor, you know, quite a bit of money for the stand. We had clients in there in 1982 that they were paying $1,500 for 8x4.
So you're subleasing the street.
Huh?
You're subleasing the street.
Yeah.
And it's fine
So
for the booth.
the contractor
And
comes
they
in,
take
pays the
20%
city.
off all sales, that's what they do.
And that's just where you selling your stuff at the Peanut Festival, right? There's no
Yeah.
cost on usage of
And
the
this is what
street,
I'm
the
saying,
city
you
has
know,
to pay or
even
anything.
60-40.
Well, the city had to come back and clean it and put everything back in order, so you have to charge for it.
Before, I know that the
That's
Knights
simple.
didn't give him anything for the beer that was sold. You know, that was the Knights kept.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I know this last year, you know, the Knights made so much after everything was over, and they said, we're gonna keep this much, and then give the association maybe $300 or $400, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always walked away with bandits, I thought. I mean, if anyone's a night here, I'm sorry, but.
But,
It's
I
not like
mean,
they walked away like bandits.
but yeah, I mean, it's y'all's license, it's the 40 license. I think they're gonna be happy with whatever percentage you give them, honestly. Whatever percentage you give them, I think they're gonna be happy because they don't have to handle the beer. They don't need to do anything with the beer.
They're just
hiring us
making
to
money to
make
do
They're
nothing.
handling this, and
They're
that's what you
making
said.
money to hire us.
Yeah, yeah. So I think the percentage,
50-50,
I don't
right?
think, I don't think the percentage will be an
Yeah.
Should be
issue.
30.
It's just the idea of how the numbers look when the other side see it. So you say, oh, I'm getting 50%, but we're covering in a cost on and say, I'm only gonna give you 30, and we keep 70. Oh, that don't sound too good, 50-50 sound better, but you're including all the cost plus markup. Like 1974, the city leased the street for $500,000, and the guy's charging for each booth to 100. And he got 55-gallon drums, couping the money, all cash, into this place with 2 guards in there, because he got to recover what the city's charging for use of the street.
And Andy, that's one you hadn't thought of,
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Well, there'll be
Well,
money
yeah,
council
it's-
for hotel tax.
Hotel tax, well,
city-
that's all
the
us,
city
right?
had to
It's
come
not-
back and send the crew not to pay
That's all
the
4A,
guys
right?
over
They don't
time
get
to
nothing.
clean up the street for all the stuff.
It's a separate tax.
I'm not like, way to explain to the people, first of all, we're gonna charge him for the street.
Because of doing business.
business.
So that's what we're looking for, is just a percentage to give to them, so they can take to their board.
So who pays for the security?
They do.
They do.
They pay for security. And I believe they're actually using city PD this
Yeah,
time, so
right,
they're gonna
right.
split, because I think before they wouldn't, but they're gonna split city PD, she told me, and county PD, to be able to
So it'll be one shift and.
So,
take care of all.
so who's gonna pay for the cleaning of the street?
We used to do it, sir. I mean, back then, I don't know now, I think they hire people to do it, huh?
Because instead charging a vendor to use the street, he say, and I have to clean it too, he gonna say, that's what I'm charging you, that's what I'm paying you for. You're not paying the rent.
I remember one year that it rained a lot.
Oh.
Leave it.
And I think JJ, my son, was in the peanut court. Well, man, Sunday morning, we were out there, and there must have been about maybe 6 or 8 of us picking up trash.
The whole damn
Yes.
downtown.
Yes.
I'm just glad the city's finally gonna be able to make some money off this.
And that's not, how long is the contract good for? That's something we should consider also.
Yeah.
When they had this meeting last year, didn't Mr. Tom say it was good for another 2 years? So we're creeping up on a year.
I think the license is, when he renews his license, I think the license is every 2, maybe 3 years. I
I
could be
think
mistaken,
3,
but
I
I
think
think
he
it's
said
2
3.
years. It might be, unless he
I
said
think
3.
he said 3, I
So we
think.
don't have to spend money on doing the legal part again, because that's what we did
Right.
last time, so
Oh.
it saves us money there.
My thought would be, as long as the city approves the streets, that the city entities have the license. As long as the city approves the streets. Why give it to somebody else?
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, but if it's us doing the beer, like, no. Like we're
Well, I
planning
think
on
what we
doing
need
it.
to come up with is a figure to set the peanut festival. And from what I understand, we're talking about 50/50.
It sounds like something else. I'm just listening, but it sounds
I
like
mean, we
something
start somewhere. We know we're probably,
I think we started at 50/50, I've heard 70/30, possibly 60/40, but I heard 70/30.
I don't think, even 60/40,
I mean,
like that
that's-
10% ain't, it's still a lot of work, just.
Let's make it right in the middle, 65-35.
Start out at 75-25, and like, we won't go no more, we'll give you another 5%, but make them work for it.
There's something else too. The peanut festival get money from the city. How much we allocated last time?
I think 30,
$30,000 or $40,000, right?
like that.
Hello?
So, man.
Huh? They're way ahead of you. They're very smart the way they do things, because they come over here and ask one thing, but we go to the city and collect another money. And then they might go to a tax for tourism. We'll go to this many people, I want this more money too. We're the only one behind the eight ball. Everybody.
Just go on the table.
Sure, we take the 50%. We, yeah, we don't let me walk out the door.
Yeah, I would say 60/40.
4 years, 70, 30, whatever.
Like I said, I think they're gonna be happy with whatever percent, they're not doing any work.
70/30.
Oh shit, 90-10. They're gonna be happy with whatever.
let's look at the individual responsibilities. We've got the license.
Exactly.
There's someone is going to be doing the selling. We're gonna be completely out of that. It's gonna be a company that is insured and licensed to do that. And then we will have someone, from the city managing the money. So it's gonna be free, and then the peanut festival is gonna get whatever we don't charge. So,
And do we set the price per unit?
I think we should, yeah. It's our license, we're setting the price on how much we're selling the beer for.
I mean, I go to a concert and pay $12 a beer, so I mean, why not charge, 10 here? The only thing that hurts is,
Well,
big Dan's and
exactly.
Castro's and.
That's what I was gonna say, they're still going out there to those other places and buy beer and come out and
Well,
drink
then
it.
that's when he
and
put
go back.
that's when he put the PD to work, eh?
And
Well,
I know,
they'll be at least competitive with other beers,
Now,
but I don't,
and I know, they always purchase 16 ounces, so it's never 12
They
regular.
got 12 ounce long neck
$5.
glass.
They were charging what, how much you get?
Oh, it's aluminum's all right, they do aluminum?
Yeah,
Okay.
$5 a beer.
And it's really, I mean, it's, like you said, y'all have the license, if y'all wanna do regular beer cans, we can do regular beer cans as well.
I
It's
mean,
just something they always did, it's the 16 ounces.
we're buying this stuff, so, I mean, it's up to us what we buy.
And that's, I mean,
So,
And it's up to
Oh,
us
of
how
course
much
it's
we
more
sell.
profitable
So
than the
how-
cans.
It's like Roy's
how many
hamburger.
ounces on the
12
beer can?
a regular one, 12 ounces.
So why say 16? Well, we can get twice, we could make 2 trips.
Mm-hmm.
For 4 more ounces, I can get $10.
That's what we do.
You don't mind?
No, I think last year, the beer booth made some good money.
Grab them while you're
Really
there,
did.
put them in your pocket.
And, the people that comes, they come with money and they're gonna spend money. And I know there's a few that might go to the other places and so on, but the majority of them will stay there and buy the 16 ounces for $5.
They already know.
Because I think
that
they-
have to-
Yeah, because they're there to see the talent and stuff, and
Those other
they're gonna
places-
leave the gate to go get it just to save a couple of bucks. I mean, I'll
But
get
the
it right
places
here.
are probably also increase their beer a little bit.
Sure.
So, anyway,
Anyway, I need a-
my recommendation would be just to keep it at 5, those 16 ounces. And
We
I
can
mean-
settle
I
on
mean,
that next meeting, but what we need to do now is decide what the percentage is gonna be for the peanut festival. Do I have a motion on that?
On what amount?
So start, well, I mean, how would we start giving them a low counter and let them work up, like 80-20? I'm being serious, I mean, like I said, you know the license, so say, hey, 80-20, you know, we're doing all the work, this and that, you know? Let them come back with the counter offer, like, no, we think a little more percentage. I mean, Chad said they'll be happy with whatever they get, so.
Well, it's a golden
Unless they don't wanna keep more money for us, I mean, just.
We had floated
You wanna give more money?
50-50 though already to them.
So was that said and done? Like, everybody shook hands, 50-50, or that's
50-50?
just something that Tom blew out? Just-
Yeah, I mean.
Tom doesn't know what it
after all
takes to
the-
run that.
After all the expenses are paid, 50-50.
Or we including all the food vendors and everybody, or just the beer booth?
Just the beer.
We're just talking about beer.
Oh, no. See, because like the peanut festival, like we said, they charge the vendors for their booth. Do they give any part of that to the city? No. No. And the city's the one that has to clean, right? Okay, so that's an expense for us, and so on. And I know that they depend on the association to come and clean. And, you know, they might come and clean and so on, but they might leave the courthouse a little dirty, you know, papers laying around and so on. And Monday morning, probably the city will get a phone call, hey, a lot of trash out here. Yeah.
You gonna raise it?
So, you know, 50-50, I don't think, because if the city's gonna be responsible for all the cleaning and this and that and so on, I think we need to include that into the 50-50. That there's no way that we can do it for 50-50. I mean, that's my opinion.
Okay. You throw out a number,
I'm sorry?
then we need to throw out another number.
Well, I would say,
70-30.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, about a 70-30.
And that's after we pay expenses.
After everything's paid, then 70-30.
After everything's paid, we get 70, they get 30.
Okay.
Okay.
So that means we go there, we will go,
Second.
we have to go next week.
Okay, I'll make the motion to.
All right.
Second.
I have a motion that we I'm gonna write this down. After expenses are paid, we split 70% 4A, 30% festival. Do I get that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's the motion that's on the floor. I have a motion by Gauna,
Second by,
second by
This-
Nesta. Okay, is there any discussion about that? Okay, all in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed? I'm gonna oppose, that's okay. 4-1. Okay. As far as I know, that's all I have on the agenda. Thank you, and be prepared, we will have another special meeting when we get word from Andy about the legal work.